Ancient strategy, modern sales, one usable line per episode.
Last time, timing beats pricing. Today, why most objections aren't really objections. They're confusion in disguise. I had a prospect last month who seemed excited. Great conversations. Then at the proposal stage, objections everywhere. Price is too high. Timeline doesn't work. Need to check with the team.
Was it a different person?
No, same person, same need. Something shifted. By the end of this episode, you'll know why objections multiply, and what dissolves most of them before they start. Here's what I used to believe. Objections mean the prospect disagrees. So my job is to answer each one, counter it with logic, overcome resistance.
And how did that work?
Every time I answered one, two more appeared. Whack-a-mole. The harder I worked to convince, the further they pulled away.
Because you were treating symptoms, not the cause.
What's the cause?
Confusion. Most objections aren't disagreements. They're signals that the prospect doesn't fully understand what they're agreeing to. When the picture is unclear, the brain defaults to caution. It invents reasons to slow down. Think about a crossroads where both paths look identical. What do?
Hesitate. Ask questions.
Exactly. Not because you don't want to move, but because you can't see which path is right. Your prospects do the same thing. When the outcome or the risk isn't visible, they pause. And that pause sounds like an objection.
So objections are really questions in disguise.
Most of them. The price is too high often means, I can't see what I'm getting. I need to think about it means, I don't understand enough to decide. Let me check with my team means, I can't explain this to someone else, hold that, we'll come back to it.
So the prospect isn't rejecting my offer, they're rejecting their own confusion.
And when you fight their objections with more information, you add complexity. More noise, more confusion, more objections.
It's a loop.
Sun Tzu wrote about this.知彼知己, bai zan bu dai, know the other. Know yourself. Never in danger. Most people read this as intelligence gathering. But there's a deeper layer.
What's the deeper layer?
Mutual clarity. When both sides see the same picture, conflict becomes unnecessary. Sun Tzu meant, create conditions where both parties understand so clearly that the outcome becomes obvious. The best generals won because the enemy could see there was no point in fighting.
So clarity isn't just about me understanding the prospect. It's about the prospect understanding themselves.
And understanding you, and understanding the decision. When all three are clear, objections dissolve. Not because you answered them, but because the confusion that created them is gone.
So what are the real costs of unclear communication in sales?
3, and they compound. First, objection multiplication. Every unclear element generates its own objections. Vague timeline objections. Unclear scope objections. Ambiguous price objections. You're facing the shadow of every unclear detail.
Second,
decision paralysis. When the picture is fuzzy, the prospect can't choose. Not choosing feels safer than choosing wrong. So they stall, they ghost, not because they need more time, because they need more clarity.
And third,
trust erosion. When a prospect keeps asking clarifying questions, they start wondering why you weren't clear in the first place. Confusion doesn't just slow deals. It makes people question your competence.
So the pattern is, I present something unclear. Confusion generates objections. I add more detail. More detail adds complexity. More confusion. The deal dies, and I blame the prospect.
When the real issue was clarity. Yours.
So how do I build clarity into my process?
3 principles. Simplify, reflect, confirm. Simplify. Reduce your offer to what a 12-year-old could understand. Not because your prospect is simple, Because simplicity proves you understand it deeply. If your proposal needs a 30-minute walkthrough, it's not ready.
And reflect.
Reflect. Ask the prospect to describe your offer back to you. How would you explain this to your team? If their version matches yours, clarity exists. If it doesn't, you found the gap.
And confirm.
Confirm. At every decision point, state what's been agreed. Out loud. We're aligned on timeline, scope, and investment. Next step is your team's review. Right. Confirmation eliminates invisible misunderstandings.
But how do I know when something is unclear to them?
3 signals. They repeat the same question differently. They raise concerns you've already addressed. Or they go quiet. Not because they agree, but because they can't articulate the problem. Silence after a proposal is often confusion. Now, the one line for this episode.
Let's hear it.
Clarity lowers resistance.
That's powerful.
When you sense objections forming, don't argue. Don't add more proof. Ask yourself, is the picture clear? 9 times out of 10, making the situation clear dissolves the objection entirely.
So the line is a diagnostic.
Feel resistance. Check clarity first. Before you defend your price, make sure they see the value. Before you answer the objection, remove the confusion that created it. 2 more tools. Before any proposal meeting, ask yourself this: can my prospect explain this to someone who wasn't in the room?
That's the clarity test.
If the answer is no, simplify. If they can't explain it to their boss, you haven't created clarity. You've created dependency on your presence. And deals that depend on your presence stall the moment you leave the room.
And the second?
When an objection appears, respond with this: that's a fair point. Let me make sure we're seeing the same picture.
That reframes the objection as a clarity gap.
Instead of fighting the objection, you're saying, let's align. It protects the relationship because you're not telling them they're wrong. No one resists more clarity.
3 tools. Clarity lowers resistance. Can they explain this without me? And, let me make sure we're seeing the same picture. All removing confusion before it becomes conflict.
Let's lock them in.
Here's my takeaway. Most objections are confusion signals. The brain invents reasons to hesitate when it can't see the full picture. More clarity removes the need to object.
Keep going.
Sun Tzu said know the other, know yourself, never in danger. In sales, that means create conditions where both sides see the same picture. When the situation is clear, the decision becomes obvious. The principle: simplify, reflect, confirm. Make the invisible visible.
Drill zone. Come back here when objections start multiplying. A prospect says, the price seems high. Your instinct says justify the value. What do you tell yourself?
Clarity lowers resistance.
Again, like you already know the price isn't the real problem.
Clarity lowers resistance.
Good. Now the clarity test.
Can they explain this to someone who wasn't in the room?
And the objection reframe.
That's a fair point. Let me make sure we're seeing the same picture.
The sequence. Objection appears. Reset. Clarity lowers resistance. Test. Can they explain this without me? Reframe. Let me make sure we're seeing the same picture. Don't fight it. Remove the confusion behind it.
Reset, test, reframe.
This week's test. Write your offer in 3 sentences. If you can't, the prospect definitely can't either. Simplify until it fits.
3 sentences. That's the bar.
If it's clear in 3 sentences, it's clear in a meeting. If it's not, no amount of slides will save it.
Which tool should I try first?
Whichever fits your week. A. Clarity lowers resistance. B. Can they explain this without me? Or C. Let me make sure we're seeing the same picture. Drop your pick in the comments. I read every one.
What's next?
The danger of premature proposals, and why building ladders too early collapses the deal. Same calm tone, one usable line.
Ancient strategy, modern sales, one usable line per episode.